Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today. My name is Locke. I'm the Program Specialist with Education Abroad and the main student side contact at UTSA for all students who want to study abroad. I do appreciate y'all taking the time to join us today for this presentation regarding internships. I'm just going to share some information real quick in the chat regarding with my email, um, future sessions coming up this week. We also have our new podcast posted up as well, so be sure to click and check that out. Um, and to enter your ABC123 in the chat as well, just so we could keep track of students and enter you into the raffle. For every event you join and you share your ABC123 in the chat, we will go ahead and enter you in. I do notice a lot of y'all have my name, so I might have just shared my personal link or something. So if you could change your name back to whichever yours is, there's 4 other Lockleys, unless there's 4 more students with my name on campus. That'd be pretty interesting. I haven't met anyone with my name just yet. But yeah, thanks a lot for joining y'all. And I'll go ahead and hand it over to Kent so he could start his presentation.
All right, thank you. I'm just letting a few more folks in, and I'll do that as they join. Can you all just confirm that you can see my screen? It should say, it should have the presentation up.
I could see it on my end.
Okay, thanks. All right. Well, while that's doing that, thank you all for joining this session. I'm really excited to talk about internships abroad, what that entails, what considerations there are. We want to approach this from a perspective of talking about internships generally, how to pursue them through an organization like CIS Abroad. So I'll do that, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about my organization and the opportunities that we provide. So without further ado, this is the agenda. So I'll just kind of introduce CIS Abroad, talk about why you might consider an internship overseas, the types of experiential learning programs that exist, how to identify, where you might be able to obtain an internship in your field, the basic considerations, and then what the process is like. All right, so CIS Abroad is a partner of UTSA. So we're the Center for International Studies Abroad. We're really known as a study abroad organization that also does internships. We're based in Massachusetts, and I'm part of our remote team, so I'm coming to you today from North Carolina. And these are just the types of programs that we do around the world. So, semester, summer, study abroad programs. We're also doing virtual programs now, which I'll touch on from an internship perspective in a bit. But just to kick us off, I have a brief video. This it's going to introduce you to what some students have done in the past on internships overseas, just so you can hear that student perspective. So we'll watch this. I think it's like 3 or 4 minutes, and then we'll get into some more content.
I would say the work culture here is a lot more laid back than that of America. Back home everything is go, 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 whereas here I feel a lot more relaxed in completing my responsibilities and feel as though I can take my time. Part of that comes with the culture of working in a restaurant. People here like to take their time and enjoy their meal, so that of course makes the service run a lot slower as well.
You create great international connections. For me, I'm a history major. I would love to go into museum studies one day, so I'm creating a great network of connections with professionals.
So I would say one of the most important lessons I've learned is that the importance of doing actual real valuable work in your internship, as opposed to in the U.S. You hear horror stories of just getting coffee and making coffees, not really doing anything that teaches you about the field that you want to go into.
The most important lesson I'm going to take home with me is the importance of a goal-driven mindset, and that being somewhere from set hours isn't as important as the quality of the work that you'll do.
I'm studying to be a dietitian, and so I'm really looking forward to adding the clinical experience onto my resume. I've learned about micronutrient deficiencies and malnutrition treatment here, and I'm really excited to take that back with me to America.
Fun. I get to work on so many different animals, everything from cats to dogs to goats to guinea pigs and rabbits, and it's really hands-on. I'm learning how to vaccinate, microchip, give IVs and do vitals. So yeah.
So interning at the Vilna Refugee Center has been a really cool experience for me. I've got to witness firsthand how immigration works in Italy, and I would like to apply that in my future career.
There's no hierarchy between things. Like, instead of it being a vertical landscape, we're working on more of a horizontal landscape, which is something I appreciate. So our relationship between workers is peer and peer rather than boss and associate, which is something I really appreciate and something I'll probably take home with me.
So what I learned here in New Zealand is that you work closer to your boss or like the CEO of your company. You don't have to go up through ladders, and you're working in a small group compared to like 20 people or more in the organization.
Everybody is very positive, everybody is enthusiastic with their work. You know, I've noticed a lot of teachers back at home may complain a lot about students or have a negative attitude on what is going around or like the school environment, but here everybody is always laughing or smiling. Students are so happy and eager to learn. So I've really, kind of learned that just because they're middle schoolers doesn't mean that they don't care to learn, and that if you can find that enthusiasm in them and make lessons interesting and engaging, it will go a long way.
I've been placed at a primary care unit, and I've been able to see different aspects of rural healthcare. As a future medical school candidate, I have to get as much experience in the medical field as possible, and this clinic has definitely made me ready, and I've seen so much that I've not had an opportunity to see yet in the United States.
All right, I think we have a few in the waiting room, so I'm just gonna admit them really quickly. Thanks for indulging me in watching that video. I really, that's one of my favorites, just to hear from a huge variety of students, doing crazy cool projects around the world, and kind of hearing their perspective on that. So I wanted to introduce the types of experiential learning programs that you might encounter. So when we talk about interning, that's really the big one. Having an internship that is aligned with your professional goals and what you want to do after college. But there are other types of experiential learning programs out there just to be aware of. At CIS, we offer something called micro internships. These are really popular with business majors, particularly international business, obviously. They're kind of along the lines of consulting projects. We also offer research placements. So for students who are thinking of maybe attending graduate school and want to get some research experience, particularly in the STEM fields, that might be of interest. There are also TEFL programs, so teaching English as a foreign language. This is kind of a form of an internship, but it's a bit specialized. So through these types of programs, you'll gain a TEFL certificate, which qualifies you to teach English anywhere in the world. And finally, service learning. So service learning programs are hands-on, they're practical in nature. They are somewhat like volunteer experiences, but they're more than that. They involve really becoming enmeshed in a local community and engaging in a mutually beneficial service project that was decided on by the host community. And they're also taking a course that kind of accompanies that to reflect on what they're learning. So just a broad kind of overview of what experiential learning programs are out there. So why intern abroad as opposed to maybe just pursuing a traditional study abroad experience where you're taking courses? I'm not going to go through all of these, but I have a few favorites here that I want to point out. And really the first one is one of the best ones, and that is, in this landscape especially, being able to stand out to future employers with real world experience in your field in another country. That's something that not a lot of college graduates are kind of emerging from their institutions with. So it's an opportunity to really stand out when you're in the application phase of a job, or just kind of doing an initial career search. And then the second one here, building a lasting network. This is something someone in the video touched on. I think it was the student who wants to go into museum studies. So being able to kind of network with museum professionals in another country, and then being able to bring that back and maintain that network around the world is really powerful. As you know, the saying goes, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that's very true in a career search. So that's an important aspect of these type of experiences. Another one I like is gaining an international perspective on your field. So again, touched on by a student in the video, I think the one in Thailand who's a teacher, seeing what a classroom setting is like in another country versus what it's like in the US, you get this cross comparative look at the profession you want to go into, and it might help inform, is this something I want to pursue? Is it something I want to pursue internationally? So really, these experiences make you kind of ask those questions, I think, which can only be a good thing. And then the last one I want to touch on here is just the sense of confidence and independence that these programs bring about. This is something we hear from students who return from our programs all the time, is that they're kind of forced to be in an environment they're not familiar with, and that is always going to create a more independent student. And I think that's really powerful. I can certainly speak from personal experience of my own international experiences as an undergraduate. I definitely emerged from those with a lot more independence and self-confidence, I'd say. So I want to touch on some basic considerations. So if you're attending this session and you're thinking, how do I make this happen? Do I want to make this happen? Should I do an internship overseas? These are the questions to really ask yourself at this time. When do international internships take place? What length of time? I'm going to speak as broadly as I can. Obviously, I know the CIS Abroad world specifically. So I know our programs take place year round. So I imagine you can access these types of experiences at any time of year. So we have fall and spring programs, but also summer programs. And I know from our enrollment data that summer tends to be the more popular time. I think students have a bit more flexibility in how they spend their time, and that's when they really are seeking these internships. But more and more, we're seeing students pursue semester-long internships. So that might be an option for you. That's something to consider, especially if you're seeking academic credit for the experience. You might be able to make it work from a financial perspective, being able to use your financial aid to gain credit during a semester-long experience. So the next two items on the list here, where can you have an internship, and language, these are somewhat linked. So at CIS, we have internship programs in 15 countries around the world. There's really no limit to where you can go and have an internship experience. Certainly, if you're organizing something like this yourself, if you have contacts at an organization and you want to arrange an internship, more power to you. That's incredible. Sometimes that can be difficult, and that's why organizations like CIS Abroad offer these types of programs where it's a customized placement. We work with our network of employers to place you in an internship that is going to be meaningful for you. But language is something to consider. So in all of these 15 locations where we offer programs, we're able to place students regardless of their language abilities. If they just speak English, we can place them in an internship. And that's because we work with a network of employers that are kind of more global in outlook, and maybe use English on a day-to-day basis because it's kind of the default language among their international staff. If, however, you do have some language abilities and you'd like to use those overseas or improve them, that's a possibility as well. And it might actually expand the potential for the type of placement we can arrange for you. And I do often have students who are whose first language is Spanish ask about internships in some of our Spanish-speaking locations like Ecuador or Spain or Argentina. And we can absolutely place students who are fluent in Spanish in these locations. And the same goes for, you know, a student who is fluent in Italian. We can place them in a fully immersive, you know, Italian-speaking environment in our programs in Italy. The next item here, major versus career field. Sometimes I'll have students ask, you know, I'm a creative writing major, or I'm an English major. What kind of internships do you have for me? And I try to challenge them to think about, you know, not what is your major, don't ask that, but what is the career field you want to get into after college? So, you know, creative writing major might think about a journalism internship placement, or an English major might think about education if they want to go the teaching route. So kind of shift that in your mind from thinking about what your major is to what career field you want after college, and that's going to help you in your search for internships that are going to matter to you. And at CIS, I know that we've broken down our internship placement fields into 21 career fields. So that's what we, you know, show to students when we kind of make that initial contact and say, okay, from these fields, you know, what most closely aligns with what you want to do, and from there we can really kind of take that out to our network and make a match between you and a host organization. So when you're kind of comparing programs, I would, let me just let someone in here. Okay. When you're comparing internship programs, it's always a smart idea to ask, you know, what's included besides the internship itself? Is there a program actually built around that internship? The programs at CIS Abroad, you know, as a baseline, I would say always include cultural activities on site. So we have site directors in each location who are there to really be kind of that cultural bridge, introducing you to the local city, the local culture, and often actually the country as a whole through excursions that we organize. So really look at, you know, not just the internship itself, but what kind of surrounds all of that. You always want to ask what the fee is to participate. So international internship programs like this are typically going to have a fee associated with them. So I can show you a little bit about what to expect for those with our programs. Maybe that can kind of serve as a baseline when you're looking at other opportunities. And then finally, you want to ask who's supporting you. So when you arrive on site, you know, is there one contact? Is there a team of people that you're working with? At CIS, you're always going to have a site director who I mentioned, who's, you know, meeting you at the airport, picking you up, really leading those cultural engagement activities. But also you'll have your internship supervisor. So you can think of that person as essentially your boss, your professional mentor at your host organization. And they're the ones who you're working with on a day-to-day basis on projects that you're engaged with or any deliverables that are expected of you. So you kind of have two contacts on our programs to work with while you're there. So always ask that question of, you know, who's supporting you through the experience. So I wanted to capture some common questions, and maybe I'll head off a few questions at the end. But if you do have questions, please feel free to ask those when we reach the end. You can put them in the chat or unmute yourself, either way. The number one question is, do students get paid for internships abroad? I can only speak for CIS programs here, but I would say the most common answer that you're going to encounter is no. Most international internship programs like this are unpaid. That is for a variety of reasons, but I would say the biggest one is that when you're participating in an internship, you're usually on a tourist visa or a work visa, a student visa. And so you're not able to be paid legally in that country. So that's important to keep in mind. It's really more about the experience itself. So why would you pay to intern abroad is another common question. The program fees that are associated with the opportunities that we offer at CIS, at least, are not so much for the internship. You're not paying for the internship. You're paying for housing. You're paying for excursions. You're paying for the support of the staff members who are there for you. So you're really paying for everything else that surrounds the internship and not really the internship itself, if that makes sense. Common questions about financial aid. So can you use your financial aid that you receive at UTSA to apply towards your internship program? And the answer is maybe. That's something to speak with your financial aid office about. In some cases, I've seen students being able to do this, particularly if they receive summer aid or if they're going for a semester and are seeking academic credit for that experience. And that is a nice segue into the final FAQ here, which is about academic credit. Organizations like CIS often have what's called a school of record. So our school of record is in New Hampshire. It's called Plymouth State University, and they can grant a transcript for academic credit for a course that you would take alongside the internship. So if academic credit is necessary for your degree at UTSA, that's something to consider. And just know that we can help grant credit if you need that. So I want to change gears here to talking, generally about internships and show you a bit more about, the programs that CIS Abroad offers. So looking from a geographic point of view, you can see the programs highlighted here in orange, or the locations where we offer programs. And I'll just have one per region that I kind of want to shout out. The first one being our program in Barcelona, Spain. I would say this program offers the widest range of placement opportunities anywhere in the world for us. We just have a really strong network of host organizations. Barcelona is known as sort of a tech startup hub for Southern Europe. So you get a lot of students who are interested in entrepreneurship or business who are placed here, but also hospitality and things like that. In Africa, Asia Pacific, a number of regions kind of squished together here. You can see in orange all the locations where we have programs. So the one I want to shout out is our program in Cape Town. Again, a really strong network of host organizations, a lot of NGO work, a lot of communications, placements, business. Business is a common thread throughout all of our locations. You're probably going to find it's pretty much available in any internship site that we offer. But yeah, a really broad range of placement opportunities available in Cape Town. And finally, in the Americas, you can see we offer programs in Argentina, Ecuador, Peru, Costa Rica, and Hawaii. But Buenos Aires, Argentina is one of the stronger internship sites that we offer around the world. Our site director here is one of my favorites. Her name is Marina, and she's really great at kind of being that cultural bridge that I mentioned, introducing students to her home city of Buenos Aires. All right. So I wanted to touch on just finances really briefly. These are some of the most affordable internship programs that CIS Abroad offers around the world. Intern in Thailand, Ecuador, Prague, and Argentina tend to be along the lines of our most affordable options. And these programs are probably going to be on the shorter side. In general, our programs will range anywhere from 4 weeks to 16 weeks. So obviously, the longer you're there, the program fee will increase due to housing costs and things like that. But if you're looking for a summer experience, especially, you can do it quite affordably. So I mentioned that we had 21 career fields that we kind of categorize our internships into, and this is that list. So you can see here, it's kind of covers, like I said, industries or career fields rather than majors. So that's something to keep in mind. And when you apply for a CIS Abroad internship, we guarantee that you will be placed in one of your top 2 fields. So that's something to keep in mind. And then internship credit basics. As I mentioned, we can make this happen. There's an additional fee for internship credit charged by our School of Record, Plymouth State University, but it's a flat fee, which is nice. So if you're earning 12 credits, it's only an $800 additional fee, which is nearly a full semester's worth of credit. So yeah, the potential to really, kind of rack up some internship hours and credits during your time abroad. So I want to point out just a few placement examples to show you what students have done in the past. And we're going to do this by broad kind of career field. So starting with health, the top 3 locations for students seeking health internship placements for us at least are South Africa, Ecuador, and Thailand. I think we saw one student in the video who was doing an internship in northern Thailand around Chiang Mai, and that's what this student here, who the quote is from, did as well, working in a public health clinic in Thailand. For education majors or those looking to go into an education role after college, top 3 locations are New Zealand, Ecuador, and Thailand. This student worked as an English teacher at a middle school in Ecuador, so really gaining some pretty valuable classroom experience, which I've been told is kind of difficult to do in the US. So yeah, really neat opportunity in Ecuador. And that's going to be, similar in other locations. We're able to place students in classroom settings working with younger children, usually. And finally, internships in engineering. So the top 3 locations are Barcelona, Australia, and Vietnam. We have students doing really neat things in engineering, whether it's civil, mechanical, chemical, computer engineering, even aviation engineering. This student worked at an energy efficiency company in Barcelona. So a really nice broad range of placement examples there. And then if you are on the call today and you're thinking about an internship abroad in 2021, due to the pandemic, we've really had to focus down our options for 2021 programming. So I wanted to point out that there's just one internship program that's open for this year, and it's a summer intern in Barcelona program. If you'll remember, this is the one that offers the widest range of placements. So I'm happy that this one is open, and we're able to accommodate students here who speak fluent Spanish or zero Spanish and everywhere in between. And then briefly, I want to touch on virtual internships. Some of you might have heard about these or had a friend who's done something like this. Virtual global internships at CIS and at a lot of organizations are growing in popularity just as students are reluctant or unable to travel. These are 6 or 8 week sessions, normally during the summer, and students work 15 to 30 hours per week, just like on our normal on-site internships. And there's a lot of professional development activities and seminars that happen kind of alongside the internship itself. So some really, students have been able to get some really unique experience doing a remote project-based work just over Zoom, just like we're doing now. And at the bottom there, you'll see, or at the top right, I should say, the working remotely across cultures micro-credential. So this is something that you can earn as part of the program. And how this works is you receive this micro-credential, you can put it on your LinkedIn, and then when future potential employers click that badge, it actually takes them out to another website that explains what the learning objectives are for you to have received that badge. So it's really kind of a tangible way to stand out among other candidates. So just getting towards the end here, but I want to take you through what the process is like to apply for one of these programs. One of the first steps is to, you'll speak with an advisor who can kind of talk through, is this for you? Are we able to place students in X major generally? And then you'll submit an application and a $90 deposit, and then you'll have an interview, a more intensive interview with our internships team. And this is designed to really get at what your goals are for interning abroad, what you would like to, what sort of work environment you'd like to be in, what type of organization, what country you'd like to go to, and how long you have to commit to an internship. And based on that information, we'll actually take that out, that profile that we've built, and speak with our network of employers in the location that you're interested in or in others, and make a match between you and the host organization. From there, you're accepted to the program. You might have a second interview over Zoom just to ensure that everyone's happy, it's a good fit between you and the employer. And then from there, you're ready to go abroad. And that is what I have for you today. So this slide just has some contact information. The QR code will take you to cisabroad.com. You can fill out a short form there if you'd like to get in touch with one of my colleagues on our advising team. But you can always reach out to us on social media or our website, email, all the ways. Apparently we have a TikTok now too, which is news to me. So you can reach us there if you so choose. So I'm going to open it up to questions. If you would like to take yourself off of mute, please do. Feel free, don't be shy. But you can also put those in the chat as well. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions come through the chat. So while you all are typing those, which I'm sure you are right now, I'm going to pull up the CIS Abroad website so that I can show you how to look for sample placements. We have over 400 sample placements on our website so that you can see what students have done in the past. And so that's a really powerful tool I want you to be aware of when you're looking through these. Oh, question has come through the chat about accommodations. In terms of housing, yes, absolutely. That's included in all of our programs. So typically students are placed in student apartments. So you're there with a cohort of other students from around the US. There might be someone from UTSA or maybe not. But we typically have students on our programs from around the US. And so you're living in an apartment setting and all going out to your different internships throughout the week. And then on the weekends, a lot of students will get together and do independent travel or participate in our site director-led cultural activities. So yeah, definitely we include all of that. Really, the only things that are not included in our program fee are your flight abroad and then any meals on site. So plus, just spending money and things like that. In some locations, we do offer homestay opportunities. So if you're interested in, particularly language acquisition, if you're interested in that, being in a homestay situation is really beneficial because you're forced to speak the language if it's not an English-speaking country or not a country that speaks your first language. All right. So good question from a student here. For service learning trips, how does CIS prioritize long-term community development, avoiding voluntourism, or how do they create mutually beneficial programs and communities abroad for students? That is an excellent question. If I didn't know better, I would say you're an international educator posing as a student, because that's exactly the type of question that we love, because that's how we really start with designing our programs. Because of course we want to avoid programming that's detrimental to the local community. That's really foundational. As I said, these programs are mutually beneficial. So students are taking, first of all, they're taking a community-based service learning course alongside their service learning experience. So every week they're reflecting on what they're learning throughout the internship itself, the service learning experience. Sorry, just letting another student in. So you can see our programs here, service learning in Argentina, Ecuador, and then also in South Africa. And the way that these programs become sustainable and the way that they are beneficial to the host communities is that the projects that we get students involved with are not brand new projects. These things are ongoing. They are decided upon by so it's in some cases NGOs that are working in the region, but they're always done so in partnership with the host community, because the host community knows what is going to be beneficial for that community best. So those two pieces, really working on existing projects that are ongoing, that have begun before the students arrive and will continue after they leave, and then also the service learning course that accompanies it and really helps challenge students' perceptions and reflections on what they're learning, really make this a sustainable program model. So I want to show you, while I have it here, the internships by field section of our website. So if you were, for example, a political science major and you wanted to go into government and politics, you can click this link and that will take you to placement examples for our internships overseas. So you can see on the left-hand side here, all the locations that are going to have placements that match what you might be interested in as a political science major. And then you'll be able to see the actual samples. And these are just really brief blurbs. They are not designed to be comprehensive, but they are designed to give you an idea of what students have done in the past in a very general way. And we never, guarantee that students are going to be able to do the exact same internship as something they find on our website. That's not the point here. The point is, seeing what students have done before, kind of get the juices flowing in terms of ideas about what you might want to do yourself. And you can absolutely bring these to our internships team and say, this public affairs intern that I read about on your website, that sounds exactly like what I want to do. And we can work to find a placement that that kind of matches the spirit of what that previous student did. So you can click through and read all the different ones. Let's say you're really interested in our intern in South Africa program. You click this link here and that will take you out to the Intern in South Africa program page. And this is where you're really going to want to dig in and read about not only placements in your field and maybe another field, but also life in Cape Town, the housing options. We have a ton of videos on our pages that are kind of interviews with our on-site staff, so you can get to know them before you even arrive on site. You can read about what excursion students do during the program. I must say there are some pretty cool ones on our South Africa program. And then at the very bottom, you'll see the term dates and program fees. So you'll see this program is one that has been suspended for 2021 due to the pandemic, unfortunately. But by spring 2022, we anticipate that all of our programs are going to be open forever and ever going forward. So if you're planning out for 2022 or beyond, have no fear. We're pretty confident that these are going to run. And you'll see there are two different departure dates here. So that just depends on whether you want to do if you were going this spring 2022, an 8-week internship or a 12-week internship. So I'll just keep that in mind. It's the price difference there. Okay, I have another question from a student about essentially if you're able to participate in these programs after graduation. We have certainly had students do that in the past. That's not an issue for us. I think only in one location, our Barcelona program, due to rules in Spain, you have to be enrolled at a university during the time that you participate in the program. But if you're an undergrad or in grad school, you can participate in any program of ours around the world. And most programs are going to be accessible even if it's after graduation. And I've seen a lot of students do that. They will, graduate in May, for example, from their undergraduate degree, and they want to gain some real experience while also seeing a bit of the world during that summer after. So it's a nice way to bridge your undergraduate studies and then whatever comes next. So that's a good question. Any other questions to come through on the chat? I will just pull up our, if you look under program types here, you can see the different types that I spoke about. Virtual internships are here, or in-person internships is kind of the default, micro internships, service learning, and then TEFL. But if you want to look at internships and just see them all in one place, you can do that here. You can sort by country, you can sort by program features, if that interests you. So you can just scroll through and see. And each program is going to have its different strengths in terms of what placement fields are available. So for example, we work with a lot of organizations or small boutiques in Florence. So if you're like a fashion major or fashion merchandising or business or something like that, we have a lot of interesting placements that would work for you in Florence. That's not the only thing we do there. We also do business. We can place students who are interested in the sciences, communications, all sorts of things. But each program, just like each university around the world, is going to have different strengths. So something to keep in mind as you look through these. And our team is really good about suggesting, if you're a computer science major, maybe let's look at our Vietnam program instead of our Thailand program, because of our our employer network in Vietnam is really strong in computer science, for example. All right. It is 1:15. I'm going to take any last questions that you have. Feel free to unmute yourself or put those in the chat. And if not, we can wrap up. Opportunities for people interested in journalism. Yeah, definitely. Let's look at some sample placements for journalism. So I'm going to go to find a program, internships by field. So we'll click journalism and media. And so all the locations on the left-hand side here are going to have placements in that career field broadly. So you can maybe just dig in. Maybe Ireland interests you. You can read about what students have done there. Working in a broadcast studio, working in a tabloid newspaper, that would be fun. In South Africa, you can see the students have done work at a magazine, political publication. Yeah, so different samples are available here. And really, if you're interested in that and you're thinking you want to try this out, what I would do is set up a time to speak with one of our staff members. So you can do that by going to, in the top right hand corner of our website here, this Get Infos button. That's a good way to reach our advising team. Also at the bottom right, there's a contact us. It's like a chat feature. So you can ask questions there. But I can say, you know, with a major like journalism where there are samples on our website, we're definitely going to be able to place you. It's just a matter of where you want to be, you know, what sort of internship you want to have. You know, how long do you have? Is it in the summer? Is it during the spring semester? Things like that. So just kind of think through all of that, and then you can come prepared to speak with our internships team. Awesome. All right. Well, I don't see any more questions, so I want to thank you all for joining. I want to personally let you know that it has been a pleasure, and I really do hope you pursue an opportunity, whether it's studying abroad or interning abroad, service learning, whatever it might be. It's one of the more impactful things you can do as a college student, I believe. I strongly believe that. I did it 3 times as an undergraduate. I was totally hooked, and it really changes people's lives. So I would recommend looking into these opportunities. Speak with Locke. He can help you out with the process at UTSA, and we're always here to help you as well. So thanks again, and have a great rest of your day.